Hello, is it audible, guys? Is it audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So last session, what we have discussed about? We discussed regarding strings concept, right? Isn't it? So we discussed about string concatenation operation and also regarding what? String slice operator. We discussed about slice operator or not? Slice is nothing but what? It is part of the string. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So in this session, we will discuss about type conversions. So what's the topic about? Type conversions. Type conversions. Okay, typecasting, or even it can be called as what? Typecasting. Typecasting. The process of converting one type to another type is called as typecasting, or even it can be called as type coercion. What it can be called as? Type coercion. Coercion. Either it can be called as typecasting, or even it can be called as what? Type coercion. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the concept of typecasting. So converting from one type to another type. So nothing but what? Typecasting or type coercion. So what are you viewing on your screens? What is visible on your screens? Can anyone respond? What is displayed on your screens? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir, your screen is not visible.
Give me a second. I will share you the screen. So today's date is 4, right? Okay. So today's session, it is about what? Typecasting concept. Type. Are you able to see the notepad? Hello? Is it visible to you or not?
Yes, sir.
So typecasting. So today's session is about typecasting. Okay. So typecasting is nothing but what? The process of converting from one type to another type. Process of converting from one type to another type is called as what? It is called as typecasting. From one type to another type is called as typecasting. Or even it can be called as what? Type coercion. Okay. Or even it can be called as type coercion. Typecasting or type conversion or type coercion, all are one and the same. So Python provides 5 types of inbuilt which are supporting the concept of typecasting. So how many inbuilt functions are there, guys? So here we are having 5 number of Python provides how many number of inbuilt functions? 5 number of inbuilt functions. 5 inbuilt functions are provided to support the concept of what? A number of inbuilt functions are there with the Python programming language. Python provides 5 inbuilt functions which are supporting the concept of what? Which are supporting the concept of type conversion or typecasting. Concept of typecasting. So if you observe the 5 number of functions, the first function is available in the form of int. What is the first function name? Int is the first function. Second is float. Third one is complex. Complex is the function name. It is the inbuilt function name which is used for converting from one type to the complex data type. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Fourth function name is what? Bool function. Then the fifth function is string function. So these are the 5 functions, 5 inbuilt functions which are there with the Python programming language, which is supporting the concept of what? Typecasting or what? Type conversion or type coercion. So the process of converting from one type to another data type. Process of converting from one data type to another data type is called as what? Typecasting or type coercion or type conversion. So to support the concept of typecasting, so Python is providing what? 5 number of inbuilt functions. So if you observe the 5 inbuilt functions, the first function available in the form of int, second one in the form of float, third one in the form of complex, fourth one in the form of bool, fifth one in the form of what? String. So to convert other data types into the integer data types, so we were using what? Int function. So to convert other data types into float data type, so we were using float function. So to convert other data type into complex data type, so we were using complex function. To convert the other data type into boolean type, we were using bool function. To convert other data type into string function, into string data type, we were using what? String function. So what sort of data types what sort of data types can be converted into data types? Data type. What sort of data types can be converted? What sort of values can be converted into float data type? What sort of values are converted into complex, or what sort of values are converted into bool, or what sort of values are converted into string? Let us see. Okay, so let us discuss the first inbuilt type conversion function, int. What's the first one? Int. Okay, first type conversion function. So what sort of values can be converted into int? Now we will look at the example. Okay, so first one is float values. Float values can be converted into what? Into data type. Are you understanding, guys? Float values can be converted into integer data type values by using which function, guys? Int. So if you look into the example, so here I am writing int of 10.6. Int of 10.6. So what is 10.6, guys? Is it float value or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it can be converted into integer data type by using which function, guys? Integer. So what's the result? Result of this expression is what? Result of this particular statement is what? It is 10. Result is 10. 10.6 is converted into what? 10. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next. So B. Okay. Complex to integer data type conversion is not possible. Okay, not possible. This type of conversion is not possible, guys. Is it clear? So when you are trying to convert a complex number into integer data type value, is it possible in Python? No, it is not possible. So example, if I am writing int of, so how complex value looks like? So a plus bj format, right? So 10 plus 20j if I am writing. Okay, so what happens here? Is a type conversion is supported in Python? So to convert a complex value into integer value. So if I am writing this kind of expression, means what happens? If I am writing this kind of function call, okay, as part of the logic, what it leads to? It leads to an error. It leads to an error. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm trying to convert a Boolean value into integer value. Is it possible or not? It is possible. It is possible. Float to integer type, possible or not? Float to integer conversion is possible or not? Yes, it is possible. Complex to integer data type is possible or not?
Not possible, sir.
Not possible. But Boolean to integer conversion is possible. So example for this is what? Int of. So what are the Boolean values available in Python programming language, guys? True and false,
True or
right?
false?
So I'm writing true here. So true is considered as what? 1. Okay. Int of true is converted into which value, guys? 1. Now int of, if I am writing false here, what's the value?
0.
0. Super. Now if I am writing like this, int of true, what's the result?
Error.
Error. Int of false, what it leads to?
Error.
Error. Reason? What's the reason, guys? So can I write this kind of keyword in Python? So we are
No,
having
sir.
the keyword called as true. We are having keyword called as false in Python. But if you observe the casing of this particular true and false value in Python, so the T character has to be reprinted in upper and remaining characters has to be reprinted in lowercase. So if you look into the keyword called as false, the first character of the false keyword has to be reprinted with uppercase, remaining characters has to be reprinted in lowercase. So because of that reason, so these statements are leading to an error. So Boolean to integer conversion is possible or not?
Possible, sir.
It is possible. So when you are taking true value, so what it will be converted into? It is converted into 1. So if you are taking false, what it is converted into? It is converted into 0. So please remember, guys. And next conversion regarding integer function is what? Int of, what is the last type? String data type, right? So int of string. Int of string. So what sort of values can be converted into string data types? So if you observe that, okay, so what we are trying to do, string type converted into which data type? Into data type. Is it possible or not? Yes, of course it is possible. It is possible. So it is possible when when string when string when string
Contains numericals.
internally contains what? Numbers. What sort of numbers, guys?
Non-decimal.
Superb. Non-decimal values. Okay. So then in such case, it is possible to convert a string type of value into an integer data type value. So int of, so within the single quote, if I am giving 10, so does it converts into so what I'm mentioning, guys? 10 is mentioned inside of what? Single quotes. When I'm mentioning the 10 value inside of single quotes, that value will be treated as string type value or number type value?
String type.
String type value. So the string is converted into integer type of value. So it is possible when the string internally contains the non-decimal values. Is it clear, guys?
Sir.
Is the example clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one more rule here. The value has to be, and the value has to be represented. The value has to be represented in decimal format. Decimal format means what? Let us suppose if I am writing like this, int of, so within the single quotes, if I am using a number in binary format, so how binary number is represented, guys? So what are the first two characters of the binary representation in Python?
0B.
0 if I'm writing like this. So 1010 if I'm writing like this. So this kind of support is not available, guys. So when you are trying to represent a non-decimal value in binary format, so which is represented in terms of string, if I want to convert into integer data type, so it cannot be converted. So leads to what? If I'm writing this kind of statement, it leads to what?
Error.
Leads to error. What about first one? Converted into what?
Integer.
Int is converted into integer. So here it is converted into 10. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah, you can ask me.
in second one you wrote it's an vector, no sir.
It is not a vector. String.
If it
string
is a
value.
complex, B1 sir, complex one.
10 plus 20j. 10 plus 20j is what? It is a
Sir,
complex number. Complex
yes, sir,
number.
imaginary is I, no sir.
But in Python programming language, we are representing the imaginary part with the help of j.
Okay, sir.
So I already discussed while discussing about complex data type. So there in mass, you are representing with I. Here we are representing with j. That's it. Not more than that. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So int of, let us suppose if I am representing in octal format. So what are the first two characters? 0,
O.
O. 0, O, 1, 2, 3. So if I am representing in terms of octal format, again it leads to what?
Error.
Leads to error. Next, int of, if I am taking a hexadecimal value in terms of string. Okay. So what are the first two characters? 0, 0. Hello. Do you remember or not? What are the first two characters for representing a non-decimal value in hexadecimal format?
0x.
0x. Okay. So 1, 2, AF. Okay. So this is the value which I'm considering. So again, it leads to what? Please respond. It accepts in only in which format, guys? It accepts only in the decimal number format. Okay. Decimal number system. Decimal number system is only the format which is accepted by this particular integer type conversion function. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Leads to error. So this is the first type conversion function, integer. Okay, integer function. Is it clear? Second type is what? Float conversion function. So which values can be converted into float? Okay. It's the first type. Can we convert the integer type of values into float type? Yes, of course it is possible. Okay. So into float conversion. Possible or not?
Possible, sir.
Possible. So the next type conversion function is what? Float. So example. So if I want to convert an integer value into a float value, so what we have to do? So we have to use float conversion function. Okay. So syntax is what? Float of what? Here we have to specify an integer value. Okay. 10 point, sorry. Simply I'm taking 10 here. 10 is what? It's a non-decimal value or not? Hello. What is 10 here? 10 is a non-decimal value or not?
Yes, sir. Non-decimal.
So 10 can be converted into a float value. So which is converted into a decimal value as what? 10.0000. Okay. Is it clear? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
So integer to float conversion is possible. Then complex to float. It is not possible. Can we convert a complex value into float data type?
No, sir.
It is not supported. Okay. It is not possible. Okay. So Example, so if I am taking float function, so float of, so which value is passed here? Let us suppose if I am passing a complex value here, 10 plus 20g. Okay, so if I'm passing this kind of value to the float function, so what it leads to?
Error.
It leads to an error. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Then third one is what? Please respond. Can anyone respond? Bool to float conversion. So if I'm trying to do this, is it possible or not? Yes, it is possible. Okay. Now what I am taking, sorry, float function, right? So float of. So if I am passing, so what are the values which are accepted by Boolean data type? Only two values,
True and false.
and false, right? Let us suppose if I am taking true here. What's the result, guys?
1.
1 or 1.000?
1.000.
1.000. Okay. Next, float of. Next, can anyone guess?
False.
False. So can anyone guess?
0.000.
0.0000. So that will be the result. So what about the last one? Please respond.
String.
String to
Float to string. Sorry, string to float.
string to float. String to float. Now, what sort of values can be converted into float data type? Now, if you observe here, so internally, float conversion is possible. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible. In which situation? So, if you observe that internally, string should contain. Internally, string should contain. Internally, string should contain either a non-decimal value, or a decimal value. So strings should contain what? A non-decimal value or a decimal value, such that it will be converted into what? It is converted into float data type. Is it clear? Understanding or not?
Yes, sir.
So again, value which we are specifying should be represented in terms of decimal number system. So other kind of representations are not supported. Means what? Example I will give you. So here I am writing what? What the function name? Float is the function name. Okay. So if I am giving 10 here, sorry, float represented in which format, guys? String. Sorry, 10 is what? 10 is what kind of value?
String.
10 is what kind of value?
String.
Okay, of course it is considered as a string, as the value specified inside
Decimal
of single
value.
quotes. It is considered as a string. Non-decimal value or decimal value?
Decimal value.
Non-decimal value.
Non-decimal
Non-decimal value represented in which number system?
Decimal.
Non-decimal value represented in decimal number system. So it can be converted. So when I am using this function, so what's the result, guys? 10.0000. Now float of. So within the single quotes, if I am writing 10.63. Okay. So the value, guys, here I am passing the value in the form of a string. So if you observe the value, so what kind of value is this? 10.63 is a decimal value or not? Please respond. Hello. Are you understanding? Please respond. So 10.63 is integrated within the single quote. Okay, nothing but it is called as what? What it is called as? As it is integrated within the single quotes, it is considered as a string. But if you observe if you analyze the value 10.63, so 10.63 is a decimal value. Okay, so it can be converted into the float type value. Now, float of, if I am writing like this, so string represented in the binary format. So 0B, 1010. So if I'm writing this kind of string, what happens? Can I convert into float value? Please respond. What happens here?
Leads to error.
It leads to an error. Now float of. So if I'm taking an octal value, again it leads to
Error, sir.
error. So if I'm trying to convert a string which is represented in a hexadecimal format, if I try to convert into float type of value, what it leads to? 0x12af. Okay, so this is the hexadecimal value which is represented in the form of string. So if I'm trying to convert into an hexadecimal value, what it leads to? It leads to an error.
Right.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, the next type conversion function is bool. What is the next type conversion function? Bool. If the argument is a non-zero value, if the argument is a non-zero value, it will be treated as true. Else, other than a non-zero value, it will be treated as what?
False.
False.
Suppose bool of, if I am giving 102 here. Okay, so what it converts into? So 102 is what kind of value, guys? A non-zero value or zero value?
Non-zero value.
Non-zero value. So what it leads to?
True.
True.
True. It converts into. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now I am taking bool of minus 102. Can anyone guess? So based upon this statement, can anyone guess the output? So
True.
bool of minus 102.
True, sir.
So again it's true. Then bool of 0
False.
False.
is false. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Next. So when I am taking non-decimal value, this is the case, right? If I am writing like this, bool of 10.2. Can anyone guess? What's the result?
True, sir.
It's of course true, because 10.2 is what? It is a non-zero value.
Non-zero
Because of that reason, what's the result, guys? True.
True.
And represent the true values like this.
No, sir.
Then bool of minus 10.5. What's the result?
True.
True.
Again, it's true. Then bool of 0.000. What's the result?
False.
False.
False. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Next. Complex 2 bool. Complex 2 bool. Now if I am taking, if real and imaginary part if real and imaginary part are 0. If real part and imaginary part of the complex number is 0, it is considered as what? False. Else in other cases, it will be considered as what?
True.
True. If real and imaginary part of the complex number are zeros, what it will be treated as? Real and imaginary part of the complex number are zeros. Then which value it will be? Sorry, it will be converted into which format, guys? What's the result? False. Result is false. Else means one of the two parts is not a 0. Then in such case, what happens?
True.
It is converted into it. Else it is converted into what? True. Else it is converted into true. So that's the statement. Okay, important statement. So bool of 10 plus 20j. So what's the result, guys?
True.
True. Reason? Because real part. What's the real part, guys?
10.
10. What's the imaginary part?
20.
20. 20 is the imaginary part of the complex number, right? So both are non-zeros. If either of the parts are non-zero, means it is considered as true, else it is considered as false, right? But here two parts are non-zeros, so because of that reason it is considered as what? True. Next, another example, bool of 20j. Can anyone guess what's the result?
True.
Again it is true. Okay, next, bool of 0 plus 0j, or the result?
False.
False. Okay, so here I can write what? 0 plus 20j, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Bool of 10 plus 0j, what's the result?
True.
Again it is. So please remember, guys, you have to remember these concepts. Okay, next, string type value. Okay, so string to which type, guys? Bool type. Okay, if you observe here, so bool of, if I'm writing like this, true. So what it is converted into? String can be represented either in single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. Is it a valid statement or not?
Yes, sir.
So what it is converted into? Please respond. It is converted into true, guys. Okay, so if you have the statement for string to boolean type, so please remember this particular statement. If the argument supplied to the bool function, if the argument supplied to the bool function which is available in the form of the string is not empty, then in such case it converts into true, else it converts into false. If the argument is empty, then it will be considered as what? It will be considered as false, else. So based upon this statement, can you guess the answers? So here I am writing bool of A. So what I am passing, guys? The argument empty.
No, sir.
So what happens? What's the result?
True.
Result is next. Bool of. What's the result?
False.
Reason? String is
Empty.
empty. Okay. So if you observe the reason is what we have passed? Empty string.
Empty.
So for empty string, so what it converts into? It converts into false. So if you are passing some string, so whether it is true or false or some kind of characters which are part of the string is seen as part of the string means it is converted into true. Is it clear? Bool of S. What's the result, guys?
True.
Again, it is true. Is it clear?
Sir.
Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the next type conversion function is what? It's the last one. String.
String.
String. Okay. Now you consider. It's the last topic of this type conversion. So string type conversion. So into to string type conversion. Is it possible or not? It is possible.
Possible, sir.
Into to string. Possible or impossible? Possible. Next. Float to string. Is it
Possible,
possible
sir.
or not? Float to string. Is
Possible, sir.
Is possible. Complex to string. Is it possible or not? It is possible. Is possible. Next. Boolean to string. Possible or not? Anyone guess? Again,
Possible,
it is
sir.
possible. Possible. So please remember the points. So example for into to string. Okay. So what I am doing? String of, so within the string of what? Integer has to be converted into string data type, right? So string of 10 is given. So it is converted into what? String. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Example. Next. Example for float to string data type. Can anyone give me example? So what I have to specify? str of 10.69. So what we are trying to do? We are trying to convert 10.69 value into string data type.
String.
So it converts into string 10.69. Next. Complex to string. Again, example. So str of what? A complex number can be given. 10 plus 20j. So it is converted into. Please respond, guys. 10 plus 20j in the form of a string. Converted into a string. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So similarly, we can convert Boolean value into what? A string. Okay. So true. So what I am passing here? I am passing. Please respond. Boolean value. So what's the result, guys? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So in tomorrow's session, so we will discuss few more concepts regarding the data types, guys.